Welcome back to the Genius Scale podcast, everybody. Today's genius of the day is Shubham Khichi, founder and CEO of CyberAGI, a full stack offensive cybersecurity platform. I think I got it right that time. You let me know, Shubham. But sweet. Now, what does that actually mean? That's what we're going to dive into today. It's going to be a really exciting conversation considering what he has in mind. Big goals, big dreams. Love to hear it. So, Shubham, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Jose. Always a pleasure.
A pleasure having you. So, tell us in your own words, what is CyberAGI? What's the goal behind it?
The goal behind it is to build something which we can bring siloed organizations within the company, siloed cybersecurity departments into one platform. There's a lot of tools and products exist in the market in cybersecurity, and they kind of fragment teams and people within the team itself. So you'd have a team of pen testers. They're all fragmented using their own different tools to test. And we want to build something which kind of brings people together into one platform and work together as people supposed to work together. We are in this world of Zoom calls, where people from different parts of the country and different parts of the planet are working together. And it's very fragmented. But when it comes to cybersecurity, it's much more siloed. We want to build something which people would love. And our inspiration comes not from Gartner or these hype cycles, or even the leaderships like CISOs. We reach down directly to the people, these security engineers whom we want to celebrate, and just take their feedback and what exactly do you want. If you had a magic wand and you want to build something which will solve your problems, what would you want to build? And we take that feedback religiously and build something awesome about it. And it works.
There are a couple of keywords here that are worth unpacking for everybody to better understand, because barely anybody, honestly, even software engineers, think about cybersecurity most of the time at the nuanced level that cybersecurity professionals do. So, what does it mean to be full stack? Then thereafter, what does it mean to be offensive? Right. And then thereafter, let's talk about what does it mean to be a platform?
Right. So full stack in regular enterprise, let me give you a context on what an enterprise is in a day-to-day world. In a company, you have different teams. So one is an offensive security team, one is a defensive security team. These two teams, they never really talk together. They're supposed to talk together, but they never do. They both have different agendas. The offensive team is designed to conduct various amount of security tests and penetration tests to probe the infrastructure, the software, find bugs. You might have heard about bug bounty hunting, and these kind of web applications which have a lot of serious vulnerabilities are disclosed. These are found by offensive security engineers. What defensive security engineers do is they are designed to look out for alerts in their infrastructure. So like a company is huge and they have so many endpoints like laptops and things like that. And they are looking for any kind of attacks which are coming in. And they have millions and billion-dollar tools which helps them do that. The idea is that you have these millions of tools for both these products, both these teams, but they're very fragmented. One works in API, one works in software, one works in infrastructure, one works in Active Directory, and you name it, there are tools for that. There's not a single tool which creates everything together. You want all 5 people of your offensive team and all 20 people of your defensive team working together using one platform. Now, if it is API connected, perfectly fine. If it is ingesting data, perfectly fine. If it is conducting attacks, that's great too. So you're having a discourse like we are having, where we are talking about, hey, this particular vulnerability exists. Let's go ahead and identify what kind of attack paths we can find. Oh, there's an architect who is sitting on the call too. Hey, why don't you go ahead and provide your expertise as well? So what you're looking at is amalgamation of expertise, of decades of experience sitting in one call, in one platform, merging their knowledge to make the company secure and the world secure. That's what full stack means. Building all tools together, majority tools together, to give them a landscape, an attack landscape of what your infrastructure looks like. How weak are you, right? And to your second question is the platform, right? That the first question was full stack. The second question you asked was what's offensive security?
Exactly.
Right. So offensive security is, well, I've been an offensive security engineer for probably like 12 years now, and been in leadership roles too. And that's why it's very dear to me to build something from an angle of offensive security instead of defense, right? Because when you're on the offense, you're using the theory of inversion, where when you have an asset in your hand and all you're thinking is, what are the ways I can destroy it? If you can destroy it, just go ahead and invert it and then go protect those places. That's the theory of inversion. You always invert. And I've had immense amount of luck and success using this theory across multiple positions in my career. And now building a product using that exclusive theory to enhance the availability of defense. If I can tell you there are 10 places in this entire SaaS product which you have, which needs to be protected because I can attack those 10 places and crumple your entire organization, crumple to the grounds. What is your instant thought? Like, okay, let me call up my guys, let me put advanced security measures on these 10 places. Oh, great. Now we solved majority of your problems. 80% of your problems are solved. Now those 20%, let's work together. So that's what I want. I want to build something, and I'm building something which solves that 80% of the problems using inversion theory.
Inversion theory, where do you get that theory from? Because I've heard it before and I've used it myself, but like just to explore the mind real quick.
It's from World War II when planes started coming back to the base with bullet holes on the wings and on the tails. But when you look at the areas, so if the plane came back with bullet holes on the wings, that means the plane survived. That means those areas don't need to be fortified with extra metal, right? The planes which never came back were definitely hit near the cockpit areas or the body of it or where the weapons are stored. So those planes never made it. So when you invert the theory to not put more metal and armor on the wings and the tail, but put more armor near the body or the cockpit, that idea comes in is to invert it. And Charlie Munger is a huge proponent of inversion theory too. Read a lot of his books throughout time and listened to him a lot. And that caught me really well because it's so basic and fundamental. And it's been there since age of time where you just protect the assets which can destroy them all.
Okay, so we talked about full stack, we talked about offensive. Now let's talk about platform. What do you mean by platform in this instance?
Right. When I say platform, I meant it like in a sense where you have a company like Apple, which creates an ecosystem, and a Microsoft, which creates an ecosystem of all the products in one. And the beauty of it is that everything works together. That's the platform. When we create these tools inside our infrastructure, in our platform of Excalibur, which is our flagship product, we want all of these tools to communicate with each other, to tell a story. And that's where we use a large language model because these tools have outputs. An API tool will give you an output in a JSON format. Let's, for example, say it. It's not a simple markdown format which you and I can read, right? It's very highly JSONified output. And
Right.
let's say another tool will give you in YAML format. Now you want either a human intelligence to use this output and then make a story to tell a large audience what the output is. Or you can use a large language model, which is designed to tell you a story from multiple angles. If you look at the fundamental basics of large language model, you ask it, explain to me the solar system. How does it work? And then you ask it, explain to me like I'm a teenager, explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old, explain to me like I'm a college kid with a PhD or whatever. It's going to articulate the same notion, but come to the final conclusion, which is articulate a different notion, but come to the final conclusion, which is the same output, right? That's the beauty of large language model. And when I saw that in 2022, when ChatGPT 3.5, around that time came along, I started asking questions to clear up some of my concepts. But then I'm trying to understand it, like, can you explain me in plain English, right? Don't use too much jargon. And it did. And then I realized that throughout my entire college life and my high school and things like that, no one explained to me like that. And things are much clearer. Why
Mhm.
can't I explain the complexities of cybersecurity in a much more simpler format by using the output of all these tools into one single platform?
Right. That's why we're here today. We're trying to explain this platform in a lot of ways. So when I was reviewing your site earlier, you had a lot of really interesting ideas there. I mean, first off, beautiful site. So kudos to your team. Um,
Thank
now,
you.
a couple key ideas here. Okay, you're trying to make enterprise grade cybersecurity achievable for small business budgets. That's a big order, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And we got to talking before we hit record about like who you're trying to go for, small businesses and people who aren't usually thinking about cybersecurity, right? Who aren't sophisticated about the threats. So I'm wondering, like, what sort of things are you aiming to deliver to them, and why Cyber AGI and its platform?
Um, One of the big challenges to enter into this, I would say, racket, because this entire industry of cybersecurity is a pretty big racket, and big players usually make it, and small players are nowhere to be found. They just usually get acquired or just die, right? Because of suffocation due to opportunities, and none of them you can achieve. The challenge comes in is price, and privacy. Now, these two are extremely valuable to me. When I was building the company, is our target audience usually wants to spend a couple of $1 million for a tool, but they would have 100 different due diligence required, as well as competitor analysis when they start spending that kind of money. The second challenge which I had was, well, most of my customers are security engineers, because these are the people whom we are truly celebrating and selling the product to, because they are the ones using it, right? They have to build relationship with other teams. They have to use our product and showcase our product. These people are obviously, America is one of the big countries which has predominant use case. But then there are these other countries, our allies of America, who use cybersecurity products from America, right? And we are an American company. So when we are selling it to these countries, their purchasing power parity is very low. So we want to make sure that our product is economical enough for people to afford, at the same rate doesn't discount the quality which you produce. So give them the best thing which you can give, but at the lower price. But make sure that you are never compromising on quality, which includes privacy. Now, I used inversion theory in this too, where most, I would say, 99.99% of the companies in cybersecurity are cloud-based. And we are very proud to say we are not cloud-based. We are extremely local, where the entire platform, along with our custom fine-tuned LLM, sits on your infrastructure. Nothing calls back to us. Nothing, not a zip, except customer service complaints, which we have a direct integration to your Slack or Teams. And one of our team member, in the initial days, it's usually me, who will sit with you and ready for your messages and issues which comes through. So we want to make sure that we are valuing the company's privacy, and that lets us bypass a tremendous amount of certifications, which we did not have to worry about, which cost a lot of money. So we run a very lean ship over here, CyberAGI, and every dollar is being stretched because we are bootstrapped, and we are eventually going to raise funding, but we want to see if money was given to us, because we are using our own pocket money. If money was given to us, how far we can stretch that dollar. And one of the questions was, oh, let's go to cloud. Well, I have seen horror stories of AWS and Vercel, and then you have to end up charging your customers extra money. Well, how about we make it everything local? We'll build a bulletproof product which works on licensing, and it's local. You can go ahead and deploy it on your infrastructure, and you'll use your own GPU, what you can afford, and your billing cycles. Once a year or once a quarter, however the cadence is, we'll go ahead and send out a patch update, which you can download one-way communication, and then that's it. Everything is China walled.
Interesting. So if it's everything is local, then you're dealing with a bottleneck in some cases, scalability, because you do have to find the GPU to run the AI models locally and go and install it yourselves. That said, you guys are bootstrapped, so you're small enough and still custom enough, nimble enough, adaptable enough to actually deliver on that. So I'm wondering, how do you guys actually end up delivering on that?
On scalability,
Scalability, and how do you end up setting it all up for somebody who thinks, okay, well, I have to find a GPU, and GPUs are
very expensive.
not just expensive, but they're difficult. They're getting difficult to come by. So, what
Yes, that's
sort of
true.
GPU do I actually need to use, and why? Right?
Right. So we build an algorithm where the large language model sits on an air gap network from the outside, except a single port which connects to our partner at the moment is RunPod. RunPod worked with us initial days. They decided that we have some bones in our game and then decided to be a partner with us and gave us tremendous amount of support. So what we do is we rent out, if you don't have GPUs, if you don't have AWS, if you don't have the power to wheel out GPUs at your own will, we do have a service through RunPod, but still everything is private except the large language model, which gets its compute from an external GPU. Still, no data goes to that GPU except the ability for the GPU to run your product, run the large language model. The entire product and its data and the database is still housed in your infrastructure. Every time you make a call to the large language model, it makes a call to the GPU to start processing, and then that data comes back to you. So that way, we have eliminated the problem of organizations who don't want to spend extra money on GPU scalability. We take care of that for you. Obviously, it's slightly different pricing, but it's usually very transparent. I haven't posted pricing on the website yet because there's a new page coming up for pricing. But what we want to do is never allow organization to get capped on users on the amount of compute. You can run as many tests as you want in the year. You can run as many simulations as you want in a year. You can have as many users as you want, as long as there's a cap of like 1,000 users or something like that. The infrastructure can hold. We won't charge you for that. We will charge you a flat out yearly fee, and then you keep on subscribing that every year. That's right. The pricing model. It's very straightforward. You can purchase the entire software online. And once you purchase it, one of our customer service rep works with you for deployment, and which is the exact area to deploy. They'll work with you so that they have the exact nodes to work with and connect to, because the platform requires tremendous amount of visibility inside your infrastructure. So it needs to sit on the extremely higher level of hierarchy in terms of your IP subnets. So as long as it has extreme visibility, it can go ahead and start analyzing and protecting.
Got it. So that is a bit of a different way of going about it, considering everybody over the past 5-10 years has been going all in on cloud. But then you know what happens with cloud. You set something up, suddenly there's basically a volume-based attack where they try to hit an endpoint with substantial volume, and that could tripwire, and then suddenly you're met with a substantial cloud fee on the other side. I can imagine that being some sort of scenario. Now you tell me if
I've seen a lot of startup founders, some of them are good friends of mine, had to shut down shop because they couldn't afford the AWS cost. And they have raised money too. And investors usually say that, why didn't you account for this? Because now all our money is going, instead of growing the company, it's going to pay for a cloud cost, which you could have get from investors. So it's very difficult because cloud compute, especially with GPU, is expensive. In cybersecurity, when a platform like ours has extreme visibility inside your infrastructure, you don't want that data to go out. It's just not intrinsic to send that data to someone else's cloud. No matter how much certifications we salute on that we are SOC 2 compliant or the next best thing compliant, it will come a one day that we might get hacked and we have to answer to you. Why did we lose all your data in a ransomware attack? And that is bad for business. So initially, from the inception, we decided that let's put the data in the customer's hand. Let's give them the power to decide what to do. And let's give them the freedom, because that freedom is hard to get today. You ask it anyone, they'll never give you that data that sits on their cloud.
Exactly. Your product, it sounds like it's in line with the expectations or the best practices of the actual profession in a lot of ways, right? According to what I read, it made sure that it wasn't built per penetration test like other cybersecurity firms. So that's it's a big cost savings in a lot of ways. You can actually protect yourself so much better because you can run as many tests as you want, and you have an AI that's constantly probing and finding those weaknesses.
That is correct.
So would it be accurate to say, according to the site, Excalibur, I think is what it's called, right? Excalibur AI. Yeah. Would you say that it's an autonomous cybersecurity agent that lives on network?
It lives on network. It always scans for new things which are coming in, new IPs which are getting probed. The end goal of Excalibur is to give you a complete attack landscape. Like, how big is your landscape? Let me show it to you. And then how much of that has been protected? Let me show that too. and how much is not protected, and your important assets live there too. Let me show that too.
Right.
These are metrics which are extremely valuable to anyone running a security department or running a company, even a CTO. These metrics are never given to them because nobody knows how to procure them.
Even MSP providers, I've been talking to a series of them on the podcast.
That's right.
They
Yeah.
they have the reports and they try their best to show you exactly where the holes are. I mean, 70-page reports, it's tough to parse through.
Tough to parse through, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, now I'm wondering in terms of like your growth strategy, would you say that speaking to MSPs and partnering with them would actually be one of the better ways to go about it, considering they have, in a way, like on-premise access to set things up?
Yeah, they're really good partners, to be honest with you. MSPs are really good customers as well when it comes to it. We had our early design partners, a small MSP here in Dallas who was our early design partner who worked with us to kind of flesh out what were the issues they were facing. But obviously, they were extremely small, so they don't know what higher level of issues look like. But that that is helpful. They're really good customers at the end of the day because when we sell to them, they can deploy it as a distribution channel.
What sort of growth tactics are you considering then with this MSP strategy or beyond it to get Excalibur out there? Or are you ready to be out there yet?
Oh yeah, we are ready. I think 7 more days we're going to launch our first module, and I'm super excited to talk about it because that is there's an extremely amazing story. Can I share a story about it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So one of our customers asked us to. This is my second startup, by the way. First one was a consulting company where I spent 3 years of my time talking to customers and solving their problems to understand what is the true problem and through first principles analysis to solve majority of cybersecurity issues enterprises faces. So I spent 3 years doing that. One of those times, a customer asked us to conduct a penetration test on their entire infrastructure. Um, and I like to take some risks. And this customer was amazing. We have worked with them before, and they said, "Can you do a penetration test?" I said, "I have another theory which can give you more value. Are you willing? Are you open to listening to that theory? And it's much more than a penetration test. Obviously, we'll keep the cost the same, but I want to test this theory out. It's an experiment." So we ran an experiment where we conducted an end-to-end a threat model of that entire infrastructure with the flavor of offensive security penetration test, right? So we we used this inversion theory where we looked at an architecture diagram of that entire department, and we started figuring out if we had to destroy this department, which is an integral part of the company, if we had to destroy it, what are the particular SaaS products which we have to target? And if we target those, what are we supposed to find out? And I created this bulletproof plan and I presented it to the customer. They said, "Okay, let's do it." They took a chance on us. And once we started conducting that entire test sequence by sequence, we identified two zero-day vulnerabilities inside the customer's infrastructure, which is not theirs, which is their vendors. So we found vulnerabilities, zero-day vulnerabilities in their vendors who were selling them their SaaS products. And this was just plug and play like Google. Like you just use your Google SaaS products, it's plug and play. So imagine you're finding a zero day in Google. Um,
Right.
and these on a regular market, these are usually $100,000 each when you sell it on a black market or you give it to a vulnerability disclosure program. Usually that's the price range for each of these. Now they became so valuable that we ended up finding more vulnerabilities in high and critical for the customer, which a regular penetration test would have failed to find. Because what we are doing is we are not going inside the source code. We are going beyond that when the actual infrastructure architecture was built. We talked to that architect. What was your thought process when you were building this? Okay, well, explain that to me. What was your thought process when you're opening up the ports to transfer the data between your vendor and you? Did you put any SSH credentials to save it? Did you have any SFTP to secure file transfer protocol? What was the mitigating steps did you put in? And then he explained everything. And we wanted to find problems in the source, not in the source code. So we went with the architect and his diagram and started finding vulnerabilities inside that. And then that led us to find multiple zero days as well as a lot of high vulnerabilities. And that is the foundation of our first product, the threat modeling module, which we are launching at the end of this month. That is going to be the first of many offensive security suites which are coming in inside one platform. And it uses just that. It uses just an architecture diagram, just upload it. And our large language models, which are trained to understand these vulnerabilities using architecture diagrams, can see what to find and create their own version, a security focused architecture diagram with vulnerabilities highlighted. And then we ask the user multiple questions, okay, detailed questions to understand more about, like gain more context about the architecture diagram and the reasons behind certain things which you have done, as if a consultant would have asked you. But these questions are very, very tailored to the diagram itself and the context you provide. And then we create something called assumptions. Now, in cybersecurity, attack assumptions are basically flukes which you create. You think that these are the attacks which are going to stick, and you create those. Most people, they just have blueprint script, we just follow through and use one tool and just go about with it. But what if we could find, just like the airplane in World War II, all the places where it didn't shoot and didn't get attacked, right? And those attack assumptions are laid out for the security engineers to manually verify, because we want to also give the power to security engineers and celebrate them as they are finding these things. Because as they're finding it, their knowledge increases, their value, which they have to show to leadership, increases too, right? If we are doing majority of the, if our LLM is doing majority of the work, then it's difficult to justify their role. So we put them in a very critical place where you have to validate what we have found. If you can prove that, wonderful. Now we have an actual vulnerability. If you didn't prove that, that means you're secure from that area. So it's a win-win from both sides. And then that everything gets tied on to, let's say, for example, they want to love a vulnerability which they have identified and verified. Let's go ahead and create a tabletop exercise where we can collaborate with other team members in different departments. Like tabletop exercise is a simulation. Let's say your house gets on fire. You, your family, they have a routine. Let's go through this road, this door, this window. Earthquakes are very famous in Japan or in California too. And they have a routine. They have a drill. Kids have a drill that they go under the tables. And that's what a tabletop exercise is. They simulate this particular adversary. And in this situation, if this happens today, what are the mitigating steps? Call it out. So it's just like a boardroom table and people are talking through things and someone is taking notes. So you have one button to click and that creates an entire simulations, like a D&D, Dungeons and Dragons simulation of if an attack happens, it's going to happen through here. Blue team, go ahead. Tell me what you can do. Red team, go ahead. Tell me what you can do. The CISO, tell me what was the protocol in this situation. And you can go ahead and document it, create an actual playbook. So in this case, in the future it happens, you are prepared. So that kind of simulation is built in with one click. And we partnered with a good friend of mine, Cody Sullivan, and his company OpsBook, who conducts tabletop exercises. And just with one click, you can have the entire tabletop exercise created within Excalibur. That's threat modeling 101. It's architecture-driven threat model, which has the penetration testing and tabletop experience built in.
I mean, that sounds amazing to me.
That is just one module.
Right.
There are 4 more coming in.
Wow. So then what's the marketing and sales strategy to actually sell the module?
We want to sell it, initially, we want to sell it in conferences. I think conferences are a great place because our tradecraft is more visibility in a place like DEF CON or Black Hat. Because we are in line with people who build certain products in cybersecurity and offensive security, and that gives us the majority of eyeballs. That's what we want. We want eyeballs. And eyeballs come in spades when you're in a conference like Black Hat and you have a booth and people from all sorts of companies, usually in a higher position, as well as security engineers, they come in, they visit you and they talk about it. And if they see value in you, they go ahead and invest. They call you for a meeting. That's the initial strategy which I want. But I want to lead more of a founder-based marketing. I feel like it shows authenticity and genuine interest in customers when a founder like myself is interested in talking to people. Like you're a founder, Jose, and you're talking to me and You're basically doing marketing for your podcast by talking to me. I want to do the same thing where I'm interacting with security engineers on the ground level and talking to them. It's like, okay, well, these are your problems. We just fixed it. How about you give us a first spin? Won't
Right.
cost you nothing. Just give it a first try.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really just comes down to conversations, right? Like opening up the conversation, creating those relationships, building, delivering value, of course, and then ultimately building trust. That's what,
And I hate giving long sales calls. I hate it. I hate being the used car salesman who's just pushing you and then reaching out on LinkedIn, liking all your posts. It's something which I don't like, and I've never encouraged anyone in my company to adapt to. Fortunately, the way I hire is you are good at coding, perfectly fine, but you also need to be good at sales and marketing. So you need to be able to talk the talk. If you're in a conference, if you're in a bar, you should be able to talk about the product and not just go seclude yourself because you're representing the company, right? So that's one of the criteria for hire. Luckily, everybody in the company keeps everyone accountable and they monitor each other. And if someone is not performing very well, we have this weird way where we just it just pushes them out automatically. Like they feel like they don't belong in the company because we're a group of such hardworking people who keep each other accountable and happy. And if someone doesn't vibe the same thing, and we're just happy to see you at the door. And that
yeah,
has helped us a lot in keeping the morale high, as well as in sales and marketing, where it can be pretty depressing if no one's buying a product and you just start losing, you're having a huge attrition
hmm
because people start seeing that no one is buying it. So we want
right.
to avoid all that drama and keep morale very high with this.
If you were on the flip side of this table, if you, thinking about Cyber AGI, what would you, what would you know needs to be said, needs to be communicated?
The way we conduct ourselves within the company, we want our customers to see the same. That if we are willing to work extremely hard within our company without no one watching us, understand that our customers, we are going to work extremely hard, probably twice or thrice for you. When we reach out to people at the lower level, like junior security engineer or penetration tester or a middle manager too, we're trying to vibe with them that their contribution, which is most of the time unseen and unheard of, but it is very extremely valuable, is being seen by us, right? When we say these things, that what you do makes an impact tremendously so that the entire population above you is able to sleep at night, that puts them in a position of power to influence the narrative, right? Because it's true. It's true that if a SOC engineer, security operations center engineer, sleeps at his job and misses an alert, which is an actual attack happening from another country, then everyone's sleep will be deprived for the next foreseeable future. But they do their job so well, but they have so less voices which are not echoed in the environment. We want to give them a platform to speak up. If you had to speak up to build something and celebrate your job, what would that be? How would you see your future? That's how we conduct our operations with people outside, is we give them a platform to speak up and say their piece. And we take their piece, we distill it down to what they actually meant, and then we implement that into a product or our philosophies or our way of reaching out customers, right? Because it's super important to, like in this world of AI, Jose, it's super important to value human connection. We forget that because in 2 years, we've literally forgot. Oh, I can talk to Jose, or I can just ask ChatGPT, right? Why can't I just talk to Jose? Why can't I give him a phone call and it's like, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about it? Oh, I have this issue, and Jose can help out, right? So these kind of human connections are getting fragmented and broken down. And in organizations where these connections are already broken, what can you do to fix them? And that is a solution and a recipe for a multi-billion-dollar company, which can last for a long time. You're solving problems which organizations know that this is a problem, but they cannot solve it because no one has come forth and taken a step, because no one wants to go against the river and swim. But that's the only fish which makes it.
Mm. We're getting philosophical now.
philosophical. Yeah. Yeah. That's Friday already.
Right. You have a very clear-minded approach around a big vision. Is that the goal? A multi-billion-dollar company that can execute?
Multi-billion-dollar company. That's what I want to build, which makes beautiful, amazing products, and they all work.
And sounds like empowers people to speak up and make a difference. So I'm wondering, these next couple modules, how does that fit into the overall vision?
Oh yes, the next thing which I'm working on, which takes up my days and nights actually, is an amazing thing where penetration testers, I want to solve their problem first because I'm a penetration tester and I know all this stuff, is their ability to conduct a security test, but give 100% coverage for that particular asset. Let's say it's a software which has like probably 5,000 IPs and sorry, it's a website which has 5,000 subdomains and has so many other APIs which are getting called. But a single penetration test happens, it happens only on one particular API. You're not giving 100% coverage. You think you do, but you don't. To an expert eye, when I'm asking, can you tell me this particular website, this is our bread and butter, we make money off of this, how much of this is protected? And you tell me it's 1% protected. And that's a big slap on my face. So I'm building something which can not only provide 100% coverage, but also allow for nonstop penetration tests in production, which is what normal security engineers do and bug bounty hunters do, and build this web application which can cater to these needs. And in the end, obviously, it will be part of threat model because these agents who are conducting the penetration tests are connected with threat model. So if you want these assumptions which we created in threat model, if you don't have a security engineer working with you, you can just click one button and one of our agentic penetration testers will go ahead and conduct that test for you. So this platform getting built is also going to be connected directly to threat modeling. And in the end, what you get is something called live reporting. And that is the third module which I'm building after this is everything which you have done in threat modeling, everything which you have done in penetration test, all the assets which you have tested and scanned and provided validation and found vulnerabilities shows up on one single dashboard. Now it's connected to your CISOs, CTOs. And the best part is that if you're a CTO and you don't understand these technical jargon and you want to know, show me the financial impact. The platform curates the data in financial impact for that particular person. So you as a security engineer don't have to convert technical language to executive language. It does it for you with the power of LLM. Because like I told you, it can explain to you like a 5-year-old or a PhD student. So we use that knowledge to convert and answer the so what questions, which is very important. Like, so what? It's a vulnerability. Well, if you don't fix it tomorrow, this is the impact which you're going to see. And these are what happened in other companies when they didn't fix it. This is the big PR nightmare, or they had this ransomware attack, which later on turned out to be this particular vulnerability, which you didn't bother to fix. So it puts an immense amount of pressure for software engineers to fix that, because now the pressure is coming from top down because they understand the problem. That's what live reporting does.
Yeah, that is game changing. Usually you have to fight for somebody else to just give you the time in order to better understand the problem that you're trying to communicate. And then when it goes wrong, it ends up being your fault because why? Because you didn't communicate it correctly.
Yeah. And you're a software engineer, right? So you understand this analogy where you have to create a PRD document, a product requirement document, to explain why this feature is worthy to get into the production, right? And you create an amazing PRD document with all the flowcharts, mermaid diagrams, everything. And you try to sell this to the architect who doesn't understand Go or Python at its deepest functional level. And you have to convert this PRD diagram and you have to sit in this meeting for 1 hour and explain to him in simple language. Well, what if something could do it for you? And you scale that to 10x for cybersecurity, and now you have real problems which you have to convey. If you don't do it in a timely fashion, bad things happen.
Right. Nobody ever read those documents.
That's true.
So we're running up on time. I just wanted to give you the floor real quick to speak to the audience directly about anything that you have on your mind, CyberAGI related or not. The floor is yours.
Work extremely hard on what you're really good at so that you can create your own luck. Because luck truly never exist. It only favors the folks who work extremely hard, right? And in the world of AI, where there's so much uncertainty that your jobs will be taken, listen, it's not that advanced yet to take over a sophisticated job like a security engineer or software engineer at the highest level. It's getting there, but the power comes in the hand of the people who uses this revolutionary technology to benefit and up their game. If you can solve a problem in half the time, yeah, you're a good software engineer to hire. But if you can do the same thing as someone else, and then I see a competing AI can build the same feature in less than that, yeah, you're a bad hire. So try to use the technology for your advantage because humans have always done that. They have always used pickle and pickaxe and try to create farmlands. And now with iPhones, they're creating apps which can streamline your life. So these things existed before AI came and we adapted pretty quickly. Now is the time to jump on this ship as quick as possible. Just use it to your advantage, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. At that point where you create your own luck just with the hard work that you put into it, that strikes a chord. I've been doing like 80,
For
100
sure.
hour weeks, but you know,
Yeah.
but
I,
yeah, it's gotta
I've
go.
lost count of the amount of hours I've put, probably more than 10,000 hours in this tradecraft. I just lost count.
And I think that's when you know you've reached a level of mastery, right?
Actually, yeah, to a certain extent, you reached a level of mastery, but then you realize that you don't know much.
That's the tough part. Yeah.
At that much experience in cybersecurity, I still realize that I don't know a lot. And that's pretty humbling to say because that gives me opportunity.
I think in the book Mastery, that's actually what they categorize as one of the higher levels of mastery when you get out of the arrogance of knowing and into the wisdom of always learning.
Yeah, that's interesting. I got to read that book.
I highly recommend it. All right, everybody. Well, this was Shubham Khichi, founder and CEO of CyberAGI. If you know a cybersecurity professional out there uh, who really just needs a better cybersecurity solution, why not pitch CyberAGI to them? And then hopefully, Shubham, this is the first of many. So until the next one, see you all then. And as you already know, what we do business acquisitions and sales. So if you're looking to do that, just reach out. We also do growth partnerships with B2B firms. If you're trying to grow, we do that too. You can see that on the site. All right, guys, until next one.